Hi, I'm Dean Sage.
And I'm Jack Curvin.
And this is Show Me Your Deck,
a podcast where we explore the intersections of oracles and chakras,
using our original decks to create new insights. Episode 14 is coming out today, and we're ahead of schedule. We like that. We're on episode 16, and we've got work done. We
15's ready to go up whenever.
Yeah.
Whenever I get it onto YouTube, it's edited.
That is so much faster. Do you remember the old days?
Yes.
With hours and
we were making everything so fancy. Now it's like, no, this is pretty. This is cute. This is simple.
No, but I mean, even at the what we have today would have taken like I was exporting video myself. I did a video of my deck, a couple of videos of my deck to kind of put on the website so people can see what I'm actually talking about. You
mean the actual software, how quickly it works?
Oh, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And just even the uploading to YouTube though in the old days.
Mm-hmm. All the technology is
my
faster
gigabit
now.
Ethernet here is like zip, 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 zip.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
yay technology.
It's nice. We can get more done.
Yes, less work time, more creative time.
Yes, exactly. So plus we also have simplified our aesthetics a bit.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's why I enjoy working with you, because we are able to very easily simplify. I would spend like 10 hours on my former podcast a week getting it done.
No, we can't do all that.
No, we don't have that time.
We can't do all that.
Oh, well, why don't we jump into our mood? Let's get our first card.
Let's roll this tetrahedron. Deck number 1. This is my very direct deck. This is the sassy
direct
one.
Deck.
The direct deck. Number 10. Okay, let's see what she's gonna scream at us today. Number 10. All right, so this is the sacral chakra. This is orange metal, and it's interacting with wood, green, heart. So this is I feel meeting I love. This is number 10 of 49. Well, sassy. Okay. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Choose better people. Skip awkward gatherings. Delete 90% of your quote-unquote friends. Fire yucky bosses and clients.
Oh, boy.
She says she's not here for your nonsense.
No. Not here at all for this.
No, not today.
Pick better people? Is that what it says?
Choose better people.
Choose better people. Oh, man. All right. Well, that's a mood. That's a mood.
We're in that kind of a mood today.
This feels like me driving.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Okay. Jeez. Choose better people. Skip awkward gatherings. Delete 90% of your friends. Fire yucky bosses and clients.
Oh man. Mm-hmm. I love this for you as an independent creator. I was like, I can't fire any of my bosses. I don't have that ability.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could, if you're unhappy, there's other opportunities. Fire them.
That's true. That's true. I already made a big move this year. I don't need to make another big move this year. I don't have money to make a big move. Moves are expensive.
Moves are expensive. So, but you can still choose better people.
You can choose. Yeah.
So the idea behind this deck is that it uses humor to offer suggestions for how to take the heady ideas from the book and actually manifest them. So this is where emotions and instincts and feelings and sensations are interacting with the relationships in our lives.
Okay.
So if those people are toxic, if those people are overbearing or in some way denigrating towards you, well, choose better people. I'm curious what the actual profession for this is. Give me just a second.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit.
The idea here is I profess that I feel that only the deserving deserve my love. Mm. So this intersection is about not frittering away your precious love on people who don't even value it.
What's the imagery for this? Because this is metal and wood. That seems like it could be, like, I think the reverse of this was
that's the topiary.
The topiary. Oh,
yeah. This is. I'm pretty sure this is the one about pruning pruning hedges or something. Let me just look right quick because this was a very sassy opening. Okay, yeah. Topiary, sly weeds, brambly vines, manicured topiary, pruning toxic buds. Oh, see what I did with the word there on buds? Pruning toxic buds. You ain't my friend.
Well, so I mean, there's a shapeness to this. I was gonna say, how does because the other metal in wood, I think it's like where it pierces the heartwood, right? Is that the reverse of this?
That's the arboglyphs.
Yeah. That obviously that's a very visceral thing. This is maintenance. This is the bush is in full bloom, but if you want it to continue to grow, like bonsai, I think too, like if you want it to continue to grow healthy, you do need to prune it. You need to shape it. You do need to give it, attention. Otherwise it just kind of grows wild and oftentimes overgrows itself.
Yes. Strangles itself. Yeah.
And I mean, with others, there's you have two plants growing together. They both compete for the same sunlight in the spotted shade of the trees. There's going to be overlap.
Have you ever seen stop action video of plants?
Like the sped up, so
you can see how they're actually moving?
Yes.
They're vicious.
Yes.
They're terrifying. Plants, when you can actually move their time faster, they're scary. I mean, they're really scary. Vines in particular.
That's kind of what I was thinking is vines are parasitic in a lot of cases. And they, I used to live where a tree had been overtaken by a vine, and you wouldn't know from the outside because it just looks like a tree. But when you really look, you can see that the vine is strangling the tree. And the sad part is that the vine will lose its support structure when it finally does strangle the life out of the tree. The tree will die and fall over, and the vine won't have anything to creep up any longer.
Sounds like a good reason to yank out these brambly vines. Yes. Prune toxic buds.
Well, and then I think the thing that kind of like I don't like the idea that there's people, and I guess maybe there are, but I think everybody has toxicity to them, and everybody has, goodness and hopefulness, and sometimes some combinations just don't work. So what's toxic for two people isn't toxic for a different set of people. But I guess
this card isn't denying that everyone deserves love. May not deserve your love.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was getting at. It's like two bushes, two trees, two living things can coexist sometimes, and other times they can't.
Here's an issue I have with toxic positivity is the idea that you have to be nice to everybody. No, you don't. If somebody is a parasite to you, prune them. If they are sucking your life away, if they are shielding your light, they don't deserve your love. Maybe their mama can love them, but you don't have to. That's not your job. So you have to take care of yourself. Now, I'm not saying that you go through and hurt other people, but you don't have to stay in a situation that's abusive.
No, and I like that view of this, is that there are things in your life that you need to prune for your own health. And this is hard when it's family. And I think that's kind of what you were just touching on there. Like when it's people that are close to you, not necessarily your design, like you didn't pick them. They were chosen by the universe, by circumstance.
And sometimes we choose people when they are acting like someone else. Like, it isn't to say that you have no compassion for someone when they go through a dark time, but if someone's troubles with addiction show themselves and that starts destroying their world, you're not required to sink on that ship with them. Yeah, you can give of yourself, you can share, but when it starts teetering over into sacrifice, that's not necessarily okay. I'm not really a fan of martyrdom. I've done that so many times that I'm just not a fan of it anymore.
I like how there's a self-sufficiency to this idea that your objective is to grow. Your objective is to live and to flourish. And I like that better than some of the prosperity gospelness of some of the tarot readings. Like you get the 9 of Cups and it's like, oh my gosh, you can manifest wealth into your life. And
but manifesting, the whole concept of manifesting is so privileged. It's number one, you're coming at it from a place of mental health, that you have enough optimism and stability emotionally and psychologically to even do that. But number two, it's like that presumes that you're in an area or a circumstance that even allows something like that.
Exactly.
Are you really going to go into South Sudan and tell people to manifest wealth?
Exactly.
They can't even manifest water.
That's where I don't like that. But what I do like about this formulation of it is that you do have a responsibility to yourself to grow, to thrive, to live, and to prune and cut away things that are interfering with that are putting that to the side or putting you to the side. And it's interesting that you use love here as the driving force. So like there's a self-love that that comes from this. There's a connection to deep within yourself that comes from this.
Yeah, and if you want to break it down to just layman's terms, this is taking care of number one. You can't take care of anything else until you take care of number one.
That is so hard for people to hear.
Well, there you have it.
So hard.
You got to hear it. Listen to me.
All right, we're going to go with something from my deck here. Oh, we're going almost right to the very end. She does this sometimes. Okay. We have allow the tide to carry you home. The 10 of waves.
10 of waves.
So allow the tide to carry you home. It was really funny because this is the Suit of Cups in the tarot, and I was just talking about the 9 of Cups when I was talking about manifestation, and this is the very next card, which kind of follows along with that. But the feeling of this card is coming back. In fact, I think we had this in one of our previous episodes where we talked about the ship coming home. Do you remember that?
I do remember it. Yes.
So I think this is a different context to all of that, where tide is. This is the second chakra, so we're tied into the feelings.
Well, that's where we just were with line.
Yeah, and I think this is an internal reminder. Whereas before, I think we were talking externally. I think this is an internal reminder where. The tide is your own emotions, your own kind of...
Can you read it one more time?
Allow the tide to carry you home. So the tide goes in and out. Emotions go in and out. There's a fluctuation. There's a natural balance to it. Even in people that don't have mental health struggles, there's a natural sort of ebb and flow to emotion. And
well, what this is saying to me is when you find it necessary to separate yourself from one situation, be careful not to jump right into another. Give yourself some, like if you're thinking about pruning, give your plant some time to heal, give it a little bit of extra water, take a little bit of extra care of it and let it rest for a minute.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
And this is particularly important. Like when I see my friends jump from one relationship to another, it's like, you're not giving yourself a pause. You're not giving yourself the time to float.
That's true. Yes. And
you're swimming too much.
This card actually does speak towards relationships. In the tarot, the 10 of Cups has a sense of family and, emotional stability, emotional journeys, and there's sort of a longevity or a generativity to the emotional stability and journey here. This is the culmination of the emotional journey. So as you travel through the second chakra, this is sort of you've learned the lessons, and now it's time to kind of go and learn the deeper meaning, which would be the court cards.
And looking at how this is starting out, even if you, my lovely listener, aren't dealing with any particular relationship issue right now, at some point in the past you probably have, and if not, congratulations, but at some point in the future you probably will. And this is a reminder that in taking care of yourself, that you owe yourself the rest. You owe yourself the healing that the 10 of Waves is talking about. It can be difficult to cut off, parasitic vines or whatever image works for you in terms of taking care of number one, but then rest and contemplate what that is, and don't feel obliged to jump right into the next situation, whether it's with an employer or a lover or a friend, or trying to recover relationships with family members, or it doesn't really matter. Once you do something drastic, like shaping yourself by defining your own boundaries in excluding other people so that you can take a better or a more distinct shape of you, then let it rest. Let it contemplate it. Don't feel obliged to just run around chasing the currents. You don't have to swim so much, just float here. Is that what that's essentially saying? Float on the tides?
Yeah, it's your emotions are strong. Your emotions have built you. They've grown with you, and now the tide is flowing back to your home, the place that you left from. So Earth, of course,
you don't have to
precedes.
swim with the current here. You just ride the current, and it'll take you where you're going. It's not so much work. Just chill and let the water float on the water, and let it take you where it needs to go.
You're returning to the safety that you found in the first chakra, in the root chakra. Mm-hmm. You've been kind of out in the ocean. Emotions make you feel like you've lost grounding, you've lost connection to the earth. This is saying that same water that you've kind of maybe feared or dealt with internally is finally kind of bringing you back to that safety and security that you're familiar with.
Remind me, waves are the equivalent to cups. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, you had mentioned in passing that the 9 of cups is about what wealth?
Well, it's called the wish card. So basically it's saying anything that you wish will come true.
And what's the 10 of cups? Do you remember offhand?
No, that's about family and generativity and return.
So what is the distinction between a 9 and a 10? If 9 is about, gathering, why wouldn't a 10 be gathering even more?
9 is like the completion of a journey. It's like a completed moment. And then the 10s are more of a kind of stake in the ground, looking forward. They're kind of a culmination moment. So if the the
start of a new cycle,
it can be. It can also be future cycles, like looking to future cycles. There's a kind of a respite to a 10. A 9 has completion to it. So like the 9 of Pentacles, I talk about being a garden that's been built. You have a sense of security and safety. And then the 10 of Pentacles is more about seeding that money, that wealth, that growth into the future.
Okay. And that logic carries forth in your system as well, out of the traditional tarot and into your.
Yeah, I use the 9 is about the culmination of gaining the insights of your emotions, gaining the insights of your journey through the second chakra, and the 10 is sort of capping it off and saying, look, now it's time to come back and start to integrate it with your other chakras.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think we need one of your cards. What do you feel?
Right. Well, let's see what this little tetrahedron says. Is it going to slap me in the face with another one? Here we go. Know. Oh God, it is another one. All right, brace yourself. Okay. What? Okay. All right. Be gentle, baby. Where's it going?
Has it gone off the table?
No, it rolled way over there, though. It took its time and it landed on 7.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be the one that we love so much with Earth meeting Crown, with Root meeting Crown.
Okay.
So now in the past, that's been the obelisk, right?
Right.
Okay, so let's see how that gets sassed out. All right, what's this going to be? Oh, okay. Perform unexpected miracles. Support a charity. Create a perpetual gift. Leave a kind legacy.
Just immediately.
This is all about healthy relationships, isn't it?
This is. But what immediately popped in my mind there was the fact I didn't realize this. Ben Franklin left money to the city of Philadelphia, but with the condition that it couldn't be spent for 100 and then 200 years.
I have heard that, yeah.
And
so
it
had a chance to grow.
Yeah, it ended up compounding into like huge sums of money, and obviously the first chakra, the root chakra and Pentacles are linked in the tarot, Earth and Pentacles, and there's a sense of wealth and growth to that. So this is interesting, taking that very grounded part of it, that very wealth and growth, and connecting it to the Crown, which is about the otherworldly, the beyond, the thing that comes next.
Yeah. And so when you're looking at, and this comes up with some frequency, this number 7 from...
It's probably something about us then.
Yeah. So we've had number 7 of 49 show up in different forms across the decks. But this is where Earth, I am, is interacting with Ether, I know. And, it's in my system, the way I created this intersection, it's looking at the duality of our existence, how we are physical, yet we are spiritual. We're in both planes simultaneously, backwards and forwards. And so I think the idea here was that if you are the obelisk, if you are a connection between earth and heaven, then how can your earthly legacy say something about your purpose and morality even when you're gone? How do you keep projecting yourself across space and time? And I guess that's where I was going with this. I wrote this quite a long time ago, but I haven't seen this projection in a long time. Perform unexpected miracles, support a charity, create a perpetual gift, leave a kind legacy. I feel very nice about that.
I do too. There's an interesting progression here. So we started with emotions, the second chakra meeting the fourth chakra. Then we came to the second chakra with mind, and now we've kind of hit the root chakra, meaning the crown chakra. So we've had a distinct sinking down in the chakras to the point where we kind of went from water to earth, heart, water to earth.
It's nice because that sinking happened with a little bit of momentum. I mean, we really fell from pruning down into floating, and now here we are just really sinking into the base of an obelisk and then getting slingshot right back up into heaven. It's like fall, boom. It's like being on a trampoline almost. The energy of this one is bouncy.
Yeah. Well, there's stability to it. So like the tide is really a pocket of water that circles the globe. As the moon and the sun pull on water on Earth, it creates that slight band, and it literally pulls the water around the planet. And so there's the sense of the tide is in motion compared to the Earth, but there's stability to it in terms of the tide itself. It's just the same, bulge of water traveling the globe. And there's that from my car, there's that return home. So returning home now you speak of what you're going to project back out. So you've pruned, you've shaped, you've reached hopefully a point of stability and security, boundaries within yourself. So you've kind of put that metal pruning over your heart, which is open, like anything that you prune is open. It's susceptible to the elements, to light, to other creatures, but you've shaped it in a way that creates the boundaries that you talked about. So like, not putting people in your life that don't deserve to be there.
And by creating a more distinct shape and definition of you in your physical self and your emotional self, you now have the stability to define your spiritual self as well. But you have to know who you are. And if that means, not putting energy into other people and coming into yourself and then understanding yourself and hearing your instinct better, then you will be able to project yourself out into the universe.
I wonder if here, like I know that there's this sense of generativity of money, of seeds with the root chakra, but I wonder if here it's really getting to a sense of self, like the core stability.
That's what I'm hearing.
Because it's the two meaning. It's the crown and the root meaning. So it's a completed chakral bridge. It's a completed open chakra. That's truly the sense of your true self.
Yeah, and within the context of choosing how you shape yourself, that first reminder was topiary. And topiaries have very distinct shapes. They have very distinct outlines and profiles. You are designing yourself based on the company that you keep.
Which garden you're in.
Where you're
growing.
And when you think about pruning and weeding and all this other, you're directing energy back towards yourself by weeding out or trimming back. You're making sure that growth isn't being frittered away in directions that are unhelpful. So in defining who you are by being clear about the company you keep and settling in that and getting comfortable with knowing that sometimes you have to cut some people out, you now have the sense of self you need to really go forth in the world and be clear about how you want to, well, be remembered. Why not? Think about your legacy for a moment.
I think here boundaries with others is also boundaries of the self. So by creating boundaries for yourself with others, you are shaping yourself and you are giving yourself definition. And I think that's the part of the process that we don't talk about a lot. We talk a lot about getting boundaries with other people and making sure that they're, set properly and you're not allowing energy into your life. But those same boundaries also keep you from putting energy out into the universe in places where you don't need them to be.
And, in terms of legacies, when you know who you are and what you value, you then understand what you want to support. For example, there are people who will leave gifts to NPR because they specifically want to make sure that this type of information continues to be available to other people. Or they'll set up a music scholarship if they were musicians, or whatever. They understand and love something about their life so much that they want other people to have the ability to access it as well, if that's their interest or talent. So knowing who you are and what you value can really help when you're trying to understand what you want your imprint on the world to be.
I think there's definitely a sense of ascension too here. So grounding yourself in your root, in your being, in your very deepest, connection to earth and solid and safety, and rising up through the chakras until you reach the crown. There's that's kind of an ascension. So like we talked about the bouncing, there's sort of a dig down to grow up.
Well, and what you just said, ascension, bounce. As a dancer, the first place my mind went when you started describing that is in ballet, you plie, you bend your knees and you sink down into the floor and then you push down to leap up. So this grounding, this centering, this purpose and direction then gives you that ability to leap all the way to the top. But you have to sink down first. You have to get your heels down on the floor and really set your weight down into those feet, and then you can push down to go up. We always say that in dance class, push down to go up.
I think we used that metaphor before, but it's apt here because I think, so the overall message that I'm hearing so far is that, there's part of your existence, part of your life where you need to create some edges, some boundaries, some definition points, not just for others, but for yourself. I think really here for yourself, bringing your own self into focus, into shape, understanding where your energy is going to flow. I think maybe you've been putting your energies out so wide and so far that you have lost a sense of your self, of your shape, and you need to kind of prune those. And that means that your energy isn't going to go those places anymore. And that is a loss. There's almost a grief, I think, to that process. And that's where I think the tide carrying you home really comes in, is that, the emotions of that grief will kind of wash over you. But at the same time, that completion of that grieving will carry you back to safety where you can, now that you're shaped, grow and prosper and connect to the beyond, connect to legacy. So by defining yourself, by letting yourself grieve what has been lost in that definition, right? You're smaller now, but that smaller shape is more defined, more accurate, more resonant with your true self, which is what you find when you come back home, put your feet on the ground, and then are able to look up to the heavens.
And grief can turn into relief.
It does. That's part of its point, is to get us through the pain and the sorrow until we can get to that place of release where we allow it to not exist anymore, to keep the goodness of it, and to allow the pain to subside. And I envision grief as there's a missing piece, but you fill it with the joyful memories. You fill it with the joyful pieces. So as you've shaped things, keep hold of the joy, release the sorrow and the sadness, and release the pain that came with it. Keep the joy of what you had, but allow yourself to be now rooted so that you can rise from this into a connected state.
I'm almost feeling the need to move forward with all this loveliness. I just want to make one other observation, that with creative people, intelligent people, what this can mean is that sometimes some of those interests, they're excessive.
Mm-hmm.
When I was growing up, I wanted to be good at everything. And then I didn't get good at much of anything. So yes, it's going to hurt to say, okay, no, I'm not going to be, a sound engineer. It doesn't mean that you can't still enjoy playing around with software, but you don't have to be an expert at it. You don't have to be an expert writer and an expert this and an expert that. It's okay to be curious. And it hurts a little bit when you realize that something isn't going to be part of your toolbox necessarily, but it's okay, because then you can focus on the stuff that you really, really want to do. And you have this other information to inform it. So
you can't grow in every direction.
You can't grow in every direction. You have to prune.
There has to be shape and direction. So,
and as a creative, intelligent person, that can be egregious sometimes when I feel like I have to let go of something I thought I really wanted to do. But now I can put that energy somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to pick from my deck here, and we've got the 6 of waves. So we're sticking with the second chakra here.
We're sitting right here. Okay, yep. We're in our feelings today.
Very much so. Soak up the good, wring out the bad.
What is going on? Okay, I get it.
I get it, right?
I get it. Okay, take this hammer and smash me over the head.
There's in the 6 of Cups in the tarot, there's a sense of childhood dreams and childhood fantasies growing up, and there being kind of a remorse, a lack. Something has changed. Something has altered as you grow, and so you have a loss, but also a joy. So it's a return to childhood memories. It's a return to childhood joy, but it can also have that sense of change and loss. And I think, obviously, I mean, the cards are coming for us on this, because we were literally just saying this with the idea of grief. There is sort of a grief to childhood experiences that are behind us, and I think we think of them as lost, but they're not lost. We didn't lose them. We didn't lose childhood wonder. We just don't experience it or give into it or bring it into our current lives as much. You still can. You can still have wonder. I went to the art museum, and I keep forgetting that contemporary and modern are different. Like, I don't really like contemporary art. I'm sorry, listeners, if you're out there and that's your thing. I have some issues with it. I get into very large, very ongoing arguments over what is art, and I have some edges to that. I have some definitions of that I think other people don't like. I think that there's performance and other things that are fine. There's performative. There is a protest. Like, there are all sorts of activities that can be undertaken and that can be creative, but I don't necessarily consider them art. And we can get into that, I think, another day. But
I would like to observe that this is like the 5th time this has come up in the podcast that you don't like performance art. I
don't like certain things that are called art.
Why is this coming up in your mind so frequently?
Because I went to the museum recently and toured some galleries and had some thoughts and some interactions. Some
interactions.
Well, I just, as a happenstance, I had seen the other displays, and there's some beautiful things, but nothing had really moved me yet. Mm-hmm. The Philly Museum in particular feels a little bit more like a natural history, like more of a history museum. So like there was a display of items that were created during the expansion and colonial period of the United States. Not all of them were very good. Some of the portraits were quite interesting.
Basic.
Yes. And so I,
Rudimentary.
as art, I question, right? I question
Remedial.
And there was, but it was nice because there were things that don't necessarily get counted as art often, which was like silver cast bowls, furniture, chairs, things that really can be art objects. That don't normally get sort of brought in. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. But it was sort of more of a historical experience. They have some historical porticos that are quite well carved and beautiful. But again, it felt a little bit more like a history museum, like a history of creative craft and things like that. And I had kind of, when I go to an art museum, I want a different experience. I want a transformative experience.
How is that contemporary art though? They framed it and presented it as contemporary.
No. These were other displays.
Okay.
So there was a contemporary section. There was a contemporary gallery with a this is happening now kind of art, and then there was very historical art. Stuff from 1400s, 1500s, Baroque period. There's a great thing. But I had seen on the map that one of the wings was the modern wing, and in my head, I don't know why, but I always conflate modern and contemporary. And so I was like, oh, I probably won't like this gallery that much. And then so I go there, and it was transformative. Like I had seen Cubism in pictures, but actually seeing it on the canvas was transformative. I actually went and Marcel Duchamp, who he crosses my border, and this is why this came out, because he crosses my border between art and something that's more. And I don't like the word performative, because like dance is performative, and I do believe dance is art. Like I'm not saying dance is not art, but there's sort of a, I don't know. It crosses into some other territory for me. So like his signed urinal, okay, interesting. That's kind of where I'm like bordering on.
Isn't he Dadaism?
I don't remember if that's what it was called.
But no, I'm picking up what you're putting down. Is the concept was cute when they did it, but you didn't need to do it over and over and over and over.
Yeah,
the found art.
Yeah, so he does a bicycle seat on a stool, or bicycle wheel on a stool, like. Interesting. I don't really find a connection with art with it. That's just me. But what I did find is one of his paintings, the nude descending the stairs, and it absolutely riveted me. And there was like palette markings on the canvas where he created the lines with the sharp edge of the palette, and there was a sense of just motion through this canvas, and it was beautiful, and it was transformed. I was transfixed by it.
That's the experience I had with Picasso. I got to see a Picasso museum in Barcelona when I went to Spain, and I mean, okay, all right, Picasso, okay, whatever. But when they're right there in front of you, that's different. And it's not just that they have this tangible weight of art history, is that you can see the brush strokes.
You can see them.
And that's one of the reasons why I like Jackson Pollock. Some people just think it looks like a bunch of splatters, but for me as a mover, what I'm seeing is the manifestation of gesture. It's one reason why I like sculpture that isn't, I mean, I love polished sculpture, but like the ones where the artist like leaves the chisel marks, or when they make something in clay and like leave all the, it's almost like finger painting. I like seeing what the human hand did. And so I've had to do lots of work with lots of Picasso, but we always did it out of books. So when I finally got to experience some of those paintings in person, it's just very different.
There were Picasso, and
they're so big. Like in the book, it's like, oh, a little Picasso, but then you see them in real life. It's like, these are big.
Well, Picasso was another transformative thing. I had never considered myself someone who enjoyed Picasso, and then there it is in front of you, and it's a transformative. So I had a transformative. I actually went out, and because I was there for my birthday. It was a birthday present to go to the museum. So I, for my birthday, asked for a copy of The Nude Descending the Stairs. It's now in my office, and I see it every day, and it just gives me pleasure. It's not, you don't get the same. It's a print, so you miss the brush strokes. There's things that don't come through the print, but it is a reminder, and I'm bringing it back here. It is a reminder of that moment, that experience that I had. So even though I can't go look at the original painting every day, and I would love to, I would love to have the original painting in my office. I can't experience that. What I have is a memory, a joyous memory of that transformative experience. And I've created an anchor for my everyday life. And that's, I think, what this card is really saying is soak up the good, take that in. So yes, I don't have access to this art every day. I don't have anywhere near the money to buy a Picasso.
No. Wow.
Not even close.
No.
Never will. Even if I won the lottery, I still wouldn't have enough money to buy a Picasso. Even if they would sell some of them, these great art objects. And yet I can take the memory of that experience and I can carry that with me, and I can let go of the other things that are bad about that.
And read the card one more time, Six of Waves.
Soak up the good, wring out the bad.
So you were discussing, memory and childhood and everything. What we tend to lose is an appreciation for wonder. But if you can remember how impressed you used to be by something when you were a smaller you and had a much more limited frame of reference with the world, how glorious something could be because it's the first time you experience it. I remember the first time I saw dust motes in a sunbeam, and it made the sunbeam look like a solid piece of matter. And I see sunbeams and I was like, oh, it's a sunbeam. That's cute. But it's like the first time I saw one.
It's magical.
It's magic. It really is. And so the reminder here, I think, is, tying all this together as you're defining yourself and your relationships and what you want to do and feeling safe and thinking about your legacy and remembering how you experienced wonder and the way in which you can propagate that as an opportunity for other people. One day, I hope to be able to leave a legacy for a dance scholarship at the college where I graduated, even though I don't even like the place. But I want that program to keep going. And I want people to have the opportunity to have the sense of wonder that I got as an undergrad learning new ideas about movement.
I think there's an active part. So we've been talking legacy. We had a whole episode where we did, I think, a great episode on legacy. Probably one of our better episodes, I think, to this point. But there is here, I think, a sense of contemporary, and I use that word in jest now, but there's a contemporary sense of right now, that this reaching for the heavens, this obelisk, is transmitting its frequencies right here, right now. So it's not even, I don't think, completely to the future. I think that with this last card, it's right now, what are you transmitting? Right now, what are you reverberating? What frequencies, what thoughts, what wonder, what excitement are you putting out right now? So you've shaped yourself. So you've allowed yourself to come back to your root. You are reaching up to the heavens, and in that joyous reach, in that almost impossible reach, what are you transmitting? What are you transmitting? Yeah. Right? What
it's
are you
interesting
putting out?
You say that because they're beginning to realize that obelisks and pyramids are shaped the way they are specifically, perhaps literally, but conceptually as, radio towers. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's people that go into the woo-woo who actually think that they were transmitting.
Yes.
And there's the idea that when the Nile was flowing closer to these structures, that the higher humidity in the air, the closer access to the water, and how water would interact with the minerals that make up these stones, and they could actually generate electrical charges and things like that. So if you want to go woo-woo, it's there with the obelisk. But even conceptually, here you are pointing straight up towards heaven, standing here on earth, speaking your truth about what you support and what you want to channel energy into, what you want to help grow.
Well, going straight to the obelisk and sculpture, it's a sculpture. It's a monolithic sculpture, and
it's a topiary made of rock.
Well, but it is transmitting. Sculpture transmits. It is creating reverberations. People to this day go and tour and see and experience, and that's amazing. And they carry with them that resonance that they experienced.
Like I was saying earlier about Jackson Pollock or Picasso or any of the others, these sculptures are thousands upon thousands of years old, and they still speak to us. Now, it took a Rosetta Stone to translate it, but these ideas are still reverberating now. And sometimes it's just something as simple as, I killed these 36 people, but we know you did it.
Yeah.
We know you did it. Or here are the stories that they tell, and here are the myths that they tell, and here's the genealogies they record, and here's the little skirmishes that they like to brag about. But that tells us about who they were as people.
Did you see the guy? I think it was Cuneiform who was complaining about his coffee order.
No.
Yeah.
What happened?
Oh, just literally there was a complaint, like the water was
really.
Yes, it may not have been stone. Yes, it may not have been cuneiform, but I'm pretty sure it was.
Oh, honey, so Karens have been around for a while.
Yes, and that's a really good moment. To talk about legacy.
It's a humanizing moment.
Yeah, to talk about legacy. That's a legacy. Somebody said they had no idea they were going to set down into.
Somebody took the time.
They're just stamping
down and
stamping their clay. With like, how dare they mess up my latte? So
I love it. They weren't much different from us after all.
No, but I think that's an interesting beat here, because that is a resonance that person was creating at that moment. And so I think this is a message saying, what are you creating at this moment? What are you resonating? And what are you grieving that you think you've left in the past that really hasn't been left behind? What is that? What is that physical sense of wonder or joy that you think that you've lost or that you can't experience again? What is it? And honestly, how do you revive it? How do you bring the good from that into your current situation? And I think that is the catapult. That's, as you push down, that's the energy that's going to lift you up. Most of the time we talk about the third chakra as being the where power comes from, which, in the body it does. That is where movement, originates, and our core is our stability and our power for movement. But I think in this case, in a more of a spiritual sense, your emotions are the power driving this. We've had a lot of the second chakra of this reading. So a lot of, for me, water, for you, metal, a lot of that energy flowing through here. It is its own source of energy. You can be propelled into the future, into the now, by the joys and the memories of the past that you bring with you, that you let charge you, that you let resonate from you, like ripples in the water, or like, we talked about, sound flowing through metal so fast, travels so far, just it resonates so well, that's interesting that for you, emotions are the metal, because their resonance is even more powerful than other substances.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm eager to roll. I want to roll.
Roll away.
I'm feeling, I need to roll. Let's see. Oh, it ran away. Hold on.
It just took off, flew off the table.
Okay, number 4. So this is the haiku deck. Where is that deck? All right, let's see which card. $27. Okay, 27. No.
I've never heard that laugh from you before. You had like a wheeze there.
Okay, number 27 of 49. Haiku. This is where wood, green, I love, heart, is influenced by metal, orange.
Oh my goodness.
I feel. So, here we go. Spike impaled heartwood. Grapple, subsume trauma's nails. Wounds, scars, bark, time, poise. So welcome back, Arbuglus. We talked about you a little bit ago. So we're sitting right here with our connections and with our emotions. Oh my God, does that mean that we're closing with the inverse of the first card?
With the inverse of the first card.
Oh, this reading is so magical. I've got goosebumps. Okay, so compare and contrast. Whereas before we were talking about pruning, defining edges. I think it was 1 or 2 episodes ago. We had a big, huge discussion about this card.
We did, yeah.
Now we're coming back into the idea that the way your relationships have impacted you remain part of you, but they don't destroy you, and they help you to grow. So it might be that you had to cut some stuff away to define your shape, and maybe you still have some marks that those brambly vines might have scratched across you or whatever, but you're still here and you're still reverberating and you're still sending your stuff out into the universe, because wounds, scars, bark, time, poise.
Well, I find it interesting because, I go to bonsai here for a second. You trim and prune parts of the tree, and that knot stays. That it crusts over, it barks over, but that wound, so to speak, stays, and it helps to shape the rest of the growth of that tree. So you prune the one branch that's going to the wrong side, it leaves a mark, but the whole organism, the whole tree, grows in a different direction because of it. So there's a transformation that these wounds make for you. And I think we're again coming back around. This whole thing has been about you. So as you're listening, if this is resonating with you, this is why this whole thing has been about bringing you back into balance with yourself and being able to be aware of your emotions. So we have still that idea of the rolling waves of emotions, the unsureness of emotions, but it can be solid. It can give you force. So we've just learned this with the hurricanes. Water has incredible power within it, and metal has incredible strength within it. Oh, yeah, you're muted.
I missed all that by one county. I'm here in Charlotte, and right over in Gaston County, I had friends who lost power and had all sorts of terrible flooding. 2 counties over, even worse. 3 counties over, you're in the midst of the mountains where all the chaos happened.
Yeah, so incredible power, devastation, and emotions can be that for you. And I think that's what this is kind of resonating is shape yourself. In this case, maybe a little bit less water and a little bit more metal is going to be appropriate for you. I like, our chakral systems line up sometimes and sometimes they don't. And there is a liquidness to metal, but it's when it's heated. And I think that's what you need to take into yourself. The obelisks, they were once heated, lava, magma, rock, built under huge pressure. They cooled, and then someone came along and shaped them and brought them to heights unknown. They were able to leave the ground and ascend into the sky. And that's where you are right now. You are in a state of moltenness, and maybe it's hot with emotion for you, but you need to be more of the topiary. You need the cold metal to shape you, to give you boundaries. You need to allow yourself to come back home, come back to safety, come back to security, and then you need to allow yourself to ascend. But you do that by holding on to that which was good, that which was wonderful, that which was amazement. And then you have the reverse finally, where you are the scarred and sometimes painfully scarred version of yourself, but you are whole. You are new. You are grown in your right direction. All the things that have pained you have brought you here to this moment where you can be a physical resonant being with your eyes towards the sky.
Mm-hmm. Spike impaled heartwood. Grapple subsume trauma's nails. Wounds, scars, bark, time, poise.
Well, thank you for listening, everyone. We do have a members-only podcast. So if you go to Apple Podcasts, you can subscribe to us there and show your support for the show. We appreciate that. The members-only section is an extended version of the show where Jack and I talk about how the reading influences us directly as people, how we kind of feel and think about what we've just done. We do have a YouTube where you can see the pretty pictures of the cards. That's Show Your Deck on YouTube. And you can also link that off of the Transistor site where the episodes play. If you are subscribed through YouTube, you can subscribe directly to the podcast there and actually use us as a podcast platform. And then, you can see the pretty pictures of our decks as we display them on the screen for you. Books and decks are all available at showyourdeck.com. So if you go to that page, you can get links to the books, to the deck. Jack's book is through his website, where he will sign it and create beautiful message for you if you order it and get it in the 7x7 format, which it should be shown in at all times. So the pretty colors are on the edge of the book and just amazingness. Jack, where can we find you?
I'm at 49 Haiku, the number 4, the number 9, HAIKU. The website is 49haiku.com, and on Instagram, it would be at 49haiku.
I am at Dean Sage Media where I am. So deansagemedia.com. You can kind of see some of the other creative things that I've done in the past. And at Dean Sage Media on Instagram and on Threads and also on X. But I'm not over there as much as maybe I should be in order to meet the Wiener crowd. We talked about that in our members only segment. So if you are not a member, you won't understand that reference. We also have Instagram for the show. It's at Your Deck on Instagram. So thank you guys so much for listening.